Hello everyone, and it looks strangely calm today, and I mean calm as in mean calm. So since we have nothing really to cover here, we're just gonna do a quick overview of like the whole country. I mean, this is the U.S. I mean, if you want, you can get like other like stuff, but I don't know. We cover the United States, but there's some channels out there. I don't know which ones, but they cover some other countries. So yeah, so. Looking at the northeast here, we can see very calm, and I mean calm. No alerts. However, if we do look at these areas, why am I having a high-res velocity? Okay, don't ask. But as you can see, it's a pretty snowy day. A pretty heavy lake effect is going on. I'm turning on winter radar because, as you can see, lake effect. And then, as you can see, some mixing going on up here in Vermont. Then this area, yep. Rain and snow, yeah, so it's basically just be careful out there on those roads, as I would recommend that. Like, just be careful and make sure you don't slip and slide if you live on the western part of the U.S. Moving down to the southeast here, we can see we got a fire weather watch in effect for most of Virginia, parts of West Virginia, Washington, D.C., southern parts of Maryland, and that's really it. But these areas will basically, what you can expect if you live in these areas, and gusty winds, and the relative humidity is around 25%, and temperatures are in the 60s. Moving south here, we're going to move into the southern southeast. As you can see, we have a freeze warning in effect. These won't last long. These until 9 a.m. CDT Tuesday. They're probably going to issue new ones here. But as you can see, sub-freezing temperatures low as 29 degrees expected. Parts of central, eastern, north, central, southeast, southwest, and western Arkansas. Oh, well, I say Arkansas. Ew. But basically, you can cover basically almost all of Arkansas, far northeastern Texas, northeastern Louisiana, western Tennessee, basically about all of Mississippi, basically all of Alabama, northern Georgia, western South Carolina, and southern North Carolina. And as you can see, there's no really precipitation going around. Again, this area is extremely calm. Like, literally, if I go on the radar here, this is how much you can see. Literally nothing. You can barely tell that the radar's on, except for that black circle and the green highlight. But, yeah. Not much is going on. It's not much. I mean, literally, the same goes for the northwest, as literally no precipitation is moving through the area, except for maybe a scattered rain showers. Then moving down here, though, we actually do have a couple severe weather. There's actually one right near San Diego that was, like, pretty bad, actually. It was actually a pretty interesting storm. It was in San Diego, but then left and dissipated. We have a general thunder, so as you can see, we've got a special weather statements, radar indicated strong thunderstorm. So Maricopa, North Pinal, southern Gila counties, and then we also got one for Raymond wildlife area, or near Winslow. So yeah, and like way out in the desert here. And then I also got another one, trained weather spots, strong thunderstorm near Taylor, 22, yeah. Wind gusts, so this actually can have some pretty heavy hail, too. So otherwise, yeah, I mean, not much. However, I do want to talk about one thing before I leave here, is that we are going into a La Nina pattern. We are going into a La Nina pattern, as you can see. And if we pull this up here, as you can see, hold on, never mind, I won't pull it up. But basically, yeah, literally, I can look at these areas here. Like, I'm gonna look at the outlooks and monitorings. You can see marginal, nothing, marginal. So yeah, but I'm going to look at one thing. We're going to be looking at the climatological outlook. So we're going to be looking at Most of that looks here. So looking at the 6 to 10 day area, now this looks very interesting. As you can see, 6 to 10 days from now, we have the eastern United States into the southern United States. It's seeing some pretty warm temperatures. However, we go west and it gets insanely cold. In places of eastern Montana, northeastern Wyoming, and western South Dakota, and parts of southwestern North Dakota, we have an 80% chance of temperatures being above normal. So extremely cold and returning of winter into the region. So winter's gonna plunge, and then usually, I'm gonna say something right now, is that we'll have storms plunge, so the jet stream's probably doing something like this right now. It's basically where it's looping around like that. Because we're in a transition period between El Nino and La Nina. Basically, a La Nina is when we are going to northern storm tracks. So like these. This would be a La Nina. These would be a La Nina here. That's a La Nina when storm tracks go northern. And this also gives headroom for hurricanes. And then this storm track here is called an El Nino. This is basically means is that we're getting more southern jet, and that could also mean that we can see nor'easters. Right now, after this winter, we just came out of an El Nino and transitioning into a La Nina over the summer and eventually into the fall. Now, I'm going to do something right now. And we're going to be looking at these other areas here too. So, we're going to look at the 8 to 14 day. And as you can see, the cold spreads east. Of course, the northeastern part of the country in the mid-Atlantic region still have warmer than above average. But as you can see, some cold still in the region, especially for that almost same area. I think 60% chances. Now, 3 to 4 weeks, now, I have no idea what happens, but a warm area. So this looks like a transition. I've seen this a lot during transitional periods. Will still be warm in the north because of, the El Nino, but it will be warm in the south, too, because of the fact that we're transitioning. So, that's why you see that. And don't worry. It's spring, so actually, wouldn't you want warmer temperatures for most, hold on, for most people that want that? Like, wouldn't you want that? Now, 1 month from now, things are gonna get interesting. As you can see, more of an El Nino pattern begins to develop, and warmer temperatures just dominate the north. I don't know what's going on, but in between these times, the northeast is gonna get dominated by warmer weather, even though I live in the northeast, and it's really, really cold, like way below average for this time of year. Like temperatures we'd see in maybe late January, so I don't know why they're saying that. 3 months from now, and for some reason we're still in an El Nino pattern, even though 3 months from now is June. However, you can see a widening, you can see like a big bulge, which will probably mean that this will dissipate eventually. However, going to precipitation, just because that area is warmer doesn't mean it can be warm and wet at the same time. So 6 to 10 days from now, 6 to 10 days from now, wet across the country. Why? There's no dry areas or anything. Literally, you just exist in wet, dry, and wet areas, or maybe neutral areas if you're really far north. 8 to 14 days, though, when we can see some... Yeah, and basically nothing's changed, except for a dry area coming out of the southern Texas region. This probably indicates the start of La Nina, as you can see that there. 3 to 4 weeks, and we get something that looks like an El Nino pattern again. As you can see, wet going into the south, but bulging out in the plains area, so that will be fun to look at. 1 month from now. And this is weird. Does look like, you know, your typical like jet stream when you're transitioning, but for some reason Michigan just drive for some reason. I don't know why Michigan's just drive like that. And lastly here, 3 months from now, you can see wet over the eastern areas of the U.S. and dry over the northwest and southwest. So, yeah, not much. However, I do want to talk about one more thing before I get off here. Is that we're gonna probably go into a very, very big area. So this area here is what many people like to call the MDR, main development region for hurricanes. As we head into the hurricane season, make sure you are prepared. So this is the MDR. Basically where you see most hurricanes form and move. Now, this is the part where it gets interesting. You see, as we go into a La Nina, usually what happens is that we'll get less wind shear. Wind shear is basically like wind and lift and stuff like that. Now, you don't want that if you want a hurricane, because that will just rip the storm apart. But since we're in the La Nina, those typically have less shear. So, that, you know. And two other factors that play into this here is that usually when we're coming in El Nino and going into a La Nina, like we were out in 2020, for example, we saw a very, very, very active hurricane season, possibly even historic. Like, we saw, like, many, many named storms. And also, another thing. In, I think, 1989, this is the same setup, but we had a total solar eclipse, which is coming up on April 8th here. And that, we had extremely active hurricane season. So, I feel like that this probably is going to be a very big area here. And other YouTubers have already talked about this, like Direct Weather and other YouTubers. Those are pretty cool YouTubers. Go check them out after watching this video. But anyways, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time, probably either tonight or tomorrow. So, hope you all have a either wonderful day or night where you are, and goodbye.